What's up? I just realized that I start every podcast with what's up, and now I'm just like, let's just do it. What's up? And I want to shout out to my brother Trevor, who listens to every podcast. Text me with some critical feedback and some encouraging feedback, and that's what you want in a friend, isn't it? Someone who's gently critical, prodding you in the right direction, but also someone that's encouraging. So be encouraging to someone today. That'd be legendary. But I'm going to go through our Finding Work Bible today. If you need this document, it's basically all the things you can do to find and generate new work, from non-negotiables to client hit list to client pipeline, almost a CRM, to organic reach options, to paid reach options, to what do I do if I need work, ASAP Rocky, you might even say, and then some email marketing options. So if you need a copy of this document or you don't have it, just reach out and we'll get one to you, because the more work you have, the more work I have. Pretty much. If you got work, I got work, because someone asked us the other day. They were like, when does it end? Like the measuring the hours, and I'm like, it doesn't end. Like as long as you're in business, there's certain things to do and to measure and to complete, and that's the coolest thing. It doesn't mean you have to be part of that whole process, but certain things are non-negotiables. But today I'm going to go through what to do if you need work ASAP. So like it's gonna happen at some point where you need work ASAP. A lot of you would have heard my story. I remember just like we had 3 18-month or 12 to 18-month jobs cancel within literally like 4 to 6 weeks, and I just had Phoenix, so he would have been young, like cuddled to sleep young. And I remember going back and forth. I remember hustling so hard and then going back and forth with this guy who needed people, and I had like 10 or 12 staff at a time, and I was just like so stressed, and nothing puts pressure on you like when you need to find work. So I sat with someone today and they were like, I just feel like I can't achieve anything in the office. And I was like, yes, because you're not busy enough. And he had advice from another coaching company who shall remain nameless. And then they had said, their comfort zone is 4 days in advance. And I'm just like, that's the most cooked advice you've possibly ever been given. Like, no one's comfort zone is that. Like, if you've got stuff, your comfort zone's not 4 days in advance, unless you've got an unlimited budget, which this company did, to spend on ads. Like, that's the only way you're going to get through that. Like, no, you're not going to be able to fill 400 hours or I don't know anyone who would go to sleep at night like that. That's cooked, right? Like, it's genuinely like you're asking to lose money at that point. So I was sitting with him and I was like, I changed my perspective, like, on the whole thing, because he was only ever trying to be 4 to 6 days in advance. I was like, no, you throw that work as far as you can in the future. The more in the future you got, the more comfort zone in the hiring space, right? And the more like home-based jobs you've got, and you don't know what I'm talking about, the home-based job, it might be like a pub renovation, a club renovation, it might be a unit job you've got, it might be a high-rise job you've got, it might be a new build you got, depending on your size, it might be a commercial job you've got. Like you might need that home-based job to fall back on. So if something gets pushed back or something gets pushed out or something happens, then it's like, okay, it's cool, we can do the basement lighting, we can do the roughing of that unit. It's a little bit early, but we can go there at that point. So it's like, I don't know, my comfort zone was always like, you want to diversify, you want to have some service and maintenance jobs, which in fact, if you haven't measured them, like they should be returning the highest net profit or gross profit, depending on how you measure it. I prefer almost a gross profit measurement, because it's the cleanest way to see if you're quoting correctly, where your net profit can throw you out, because it's like, if you're just cooked administration wise and you've got too much admin, your ratios out, then it's going to show you a number that's not true. So the best way to put that is your operating expenses is too high. It's going to throw your net profit out, and then you're going to think you need to raise your rates, but you don't actually need to raise your rates. You need to increase your operational efficiency or decrease the amount of administration staff you've got, and that's going to level out your number, or add a billable resource or two to balance the numbers out. That's it. Like, it's everything is a mathematical calculation. Except people. a lot of it's like, but this is where scripts really help you, and this is where like something like this Finding Work ASAP document comes in handy because it's like, well, what do I do if I need work ASAP? And it's sometimes when you're stressed and manic and under the pump, you can miss what's right in front of you. It's why you see people get stressed and they take things out on people that they love. And it's like, I didn't want to do that, but the stress that was under me made me, like, my child came up to me and I was like, oh, daddy's working, or like mummy's working, or whatever you're doing. It's like, I don't want to do that. Like that sucks. Like, but the pressure I'm under made me make a bad decision and I missed something that I should have done. And I would normally do that naturally. And this is why it's so important to not operate at that high level manic stage or high level manic situation repetitively, because eventually you'll make a bad decision about a client, about a job, and about a price, about a staff member, about something, and it's going to throw you under the bus. And reputation takes a lifetime to build and a moment to knock down, and a business takes a lifetime to build in a way and a moment to knock down. Like, you quote that one 500 grand job significantly incorrectly and win it, that's a recipe for disaster. And it's super interesting, and this is why I guess we're pushing away from that sort of revenue-based, oh, what's your revenue? Oh, yeah, I'm increasing this level and I've gone to this new level in my coaching company. I just think it sucks. Like, revenue doesn't mean profit. And revenue doesn't mean success. Like, it's essentially, like, it's an indicator, but it's essentially vanity to a certain extent. It doesn't actually mean anything, right? Like, so it's basically like you've got to know your numbers back to front and know what you can and can't do and where you can and can't go. And you've got to work through checklists, right? So anyway, we need to work ASAP. What am I going to do? First and foremost, I'm not going into this. I'm going to run through the first 3 pages of our Finding Work Bible, which is the stuff that you should be doing. All of a sudden, when you need work ASAP, the first thing you do is go like, what was I doing 3 to 6 months ago? Because I almost guarantee you weren't that diligent 3 to 6 months ago. Chances are you got busy and you were like, oh, I'm so busy, man. I can't get back to anything. You don't get back to someone, miss some phone calls, let some things go through the keeper. All of a sudden, the work you've got runs out. And busy is the most subjective word. Busy is the most subjective word. It's such a subjective word, right? So let's say I've got 120 hours of work in front of me, right? So if I've got 3 staff, I'm out of that work in a week. If I've got 1 staff member, that's 3 weeks worth of work. So let's say I've got 200 hours of work in front of me, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I've got 5 weeks booked out. Cool. Well, if you had 5 staff members, you would be a week booked out. If you had 10 staff members, you would be busy for half a week. So busy is so subjective to the amount of labor you can throw at something. So next time you think you're busy, ask yourself, am I really busy? What if I threw an extra tradie at the mix? Would I still be busy? What if I threw 2 tradies in the mix? Would I still be busy? What if I want to get to 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 staff members and I'm at 1, am I busy or is it situationally busy? Because busy is so subjective, right? It's like you see someone be like, I'm so busy in the office. Cool. Well, like, are you doing what you meant to? What if you took your 40 hours of office work a week, gave 30 to someone else and did the 10 that was actually critical to you? How would that look? Are you really busy or are you disorganized and a little bit unproductive? So it's like, I think it's good to challenge yourself. You don't want to always go through life being busy. I remember I was going to a church at a time and the pastor got up and he was like, oh, I don't know when it changed. Like, everything was just, one day it was just like, oh, I'm busy. How are you? I'm busy. And everyone's wearing like a badge of honor. And I'm like, that's so true. Like, everyone just wears busy like a badge of honor. Like it means that it's like a flex. Oh, I'm busy. And it's like, it's actually the worst flex. The best flex you can have is like, yeah, I'm not that busy. The best flex you can have is doing nothing. Like, and not saying you want to do nothing with your life. I'm not saying that. But the best flex you can have is time to surf, time with the family, time for school pickup, time for school drop off, time for soccer training, time for your family, time for your loved ones, time for dinner dates, time for holidays, time for stuff. You want to flex? Flex on that. Flex on that. You want to flex on the good things in life, not on the essential burdens of life. And I don't want to see your life, your business as a burden, because I genuinely think you should love your job. If you love your job, you put your heart into it. You put your heart into something, it'll be excellent. If something's excellent, then should be profitable. If something's profitable, then you can sink money back into it. Like, it's just the coolest thing to run a successful business. But, okay, we're going to go through defining work playbook, need work ASAP. What do you do? I'm going to run through 3 things. So, prioritize your staff members' billable hours first. So if you've got staff, I would be prioritizing them first. And then I would be ripping and tearing into some lead generation, some phone calls. I've seen everything work, right? Like, everything work. I've seen a Facebook post work, a Facebook business post work, an Instagram post work, a Facebook community post work, a cold call work, a warm call work, a quote back on time work, like everything. Like, so don't think, like, don't be embarrassed about posting something like that, but you've got to be like, the business owner has to go into David Hasselhoff mode. And also, I would encourage you, as you're going into that mode, the easiest thing to do is to drop your pants and be like, oh, we can do it for $100 or $200 or $500 or $1,000 or whatever, because you want the job. But, you don't just want to pile up work that's not profitable for people. You want to make sure it's profitable, right? So it's interesting. So you want to run through, prioritize your staff members' hours first. Now, if you're in a boat where it's like, oh, I've got to be there with them, that might answer your question. If it's an apprentice, of course, like yes, fair enough. But if you've got to be there with your tradie to babysit all the time, it might just mean you've got the wrong person on board. Like, that's just as simple. If you can't leave someone for a day or 2 or 3 somewhere, or if you've got to start and finish everyone. I remember I was sitting with someone one time who'd come across from another coaching company who shall remain nameless, and they said, oh yeah, like, I hired my first tradie, and the guy told me to sit in the car and just do office work while the tradie was billable, like doing the work. I'm like, that is so cooked. Like, you are going to lose money. And I showed him on a calculator. I was like, you got like 2 months left, and you're done. Like, you're nada. Like, you can't do that, right? Like, so, but in this billable hours sense, you want to go, okay, let's throw the work at them, let's pile the work in front of it, and let's get it done. Now, all right, you consider bringing existing work forward. Consider bringing existing work forward. Just back on what I was saying then, as a business owner, your job is to throw work in front of people. Like, picture yourself like your job is to pile, throw, deliver, distribute work, and build the relationships, keep the relationships, and throw work in front. That's your job. You've got to do that. And if you're not diligent with it, you will eventually come unstuck. So you've got to be diligent, and even if you are busy, stay diligent with the lead generation, with the BNIs, like all this kind of stuff, because it's like you're always wanting to replace the bottom tier clients anyway with some top tier clients. And you don't know, chances are you haven't met your best client yet. That's deep if you go there. Chances are you haven't met your best client yet. So don't stop meeting people, breaking bread, asking for opportunities. You've got to be in that sort of like, David Hasselhoff mantra is a bit far-fetched. More like taking all your organic opportunities is better. So prioritize your staff members' billable hours first and foremost, right? That shouldn't be an everyday thing. That should be like an actual, if you need work, let's do that. Consider bringing existing work forward. So is there anything in the pipeline you can bring forward? Is there anything in the pipeline that you can bring forward? So interestingly enough, like, I sat with someone and they were like, oh, I got nothing on the next 2 weeks. And we ran through their job list, and they had this factory, and I was like, what stage is the factory at? And he's like, oh, it's like this. And I was like, can you just get there and rough in that section? That sounds like 2 weeks worth of work. And he's like, yeah. So it's like, cool, do that for 2 weeks. Buy yourself some time. Like, go there and be productive and throw some cables around. And while I'm not encouraging you to go somewhere with no roof on, I am saying that sometimes there is a roof on and you can get started, get moving, get cracking on something. And I was a massive believer that a ruffian of a house, as long as the cladding was on by the time I was finished, right, I was cool. So no cladding, no worries, right? As long as all the internal walls were framed up and the roof was on, we're roughing in. And then if I'm leaving everything out and then the cladding goes on, I'm drilling everything out when it's there. It's perfect. The stars don't align perfectly all the time. Sometimes in the schedule, you've got to manufacture the stars into your own Southern Cross. right? I'm not telling you to get a Southern Cross tattoo. I am telling you to manufacture the stars yourself. Sometimes you got to pull things forward. Sometimes you got to push things back. And when you got to bring it forward, you got to bring it forward. And don't be scared to, when you're bringing existing work forward, ask around to the people, the builders, the quotes. Like, follow up all your outstanding quotes. Another one, huge one. Follow up all your outstanding quotes. Like, what's out there in the ether? What's out there? What's out there you could bring in? But like, consider bringing existing work forward and then follow up all your outstanding quotes. What is your quote follow-up process? It's interesting. I believe like it's probably no one size fits all in a nutshell. Like, you're not going to follow up a quote with let's say a builder or a commercial like place every 1 to 2 days. Like, you're not going to have like a automated, just like with late payment reminders, you're not going to get every client for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day. Like, you're going to have to gauge it. And the residential clients, yeah, like I was a massive believer. Any quote that got sent, I would personally make a phone call or a text message. Hey, send the quote, check your inbox. And if it needed to be explained, I would just call and just be like, okay, so we're doing this. Where this is what I want to do. This is the thing. Bang, 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 bang. And more often than not, that personal approach to following up the quote landed us with the job, because someone was like, oh, hey, I've sent you 2 options. The first one is this, second one is this. And I was a massive believer, like, build your business based upon like relationships, and relationships involve work, and work is sometimes that extra phone call. And sometimes the quote follow-up process, like, people just get lost, like all the automated emails. Think about the emails that come through your desk every day, or come through your computer every day. Chances are it's like you might miss some, and chances are when you get the email like for a quote, you scroll straight to bottom right. 10 grand, 8 grand, 4 grand, 2 grand, 12 grand. Crazy. Like, but imagine someone called you and go, oh, hey, I sent that quote through. It's come in here, let's say it's landscaping quote. I've got 2K worth of plants. You can pay that yourself if you want, but I'm going to get it from this nursery. It's got this, and this, involves this much labor. We can do it at this point. Let me know if you want to go ahead. Like, it's such a different feel than cold reading through an email. So don't neglect the personal approach to quoting, right? So I was a big believer, text or call upon delivery of the quote. If you've got any questions, feel free to give me a call back. This should make sense. Let me know if you want to go ahead. Bang, 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 bang. And then you can have an automated process after 3 days, 7 days, 2 weeks, whatever. But when you're quiet, prioritize your staff members' billable hours first. Consider bringing work forward and prioritize, and follow up all your outstanding quotes and see what happens. Do those 3 things first. Stay tuned for more coming at ya next episode, Dr. Dre style.